you look to your side and see that you're missing somebody that's supposed to be here, shoot them a text. I believe Trinette's coming late, and I didn't get a text from anyone else. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and do roll call. So, Mahek? Here. Me? Here. Karen? Here. Elena? Here. Nathan?
Hey.
Angela?
Here.
Grace?
Here.
Nikki?
Here.
Pritika?
Here.
Suba?
Here.
Veda? Dun. Trinette? Jiwon?
Here.
Obi? Peter?
Here.
Sophie?
Here.
Talia?
Here.
Kobe?
Here.
Ireland?
Here.
Jenny?
Here.
Rachel?
Here.
Raj?
Here.
Shalala?
Here.
Harvey?
Present.
I'm scrolling, give me 1 second. I know the first one is Ryan,
Yes.
Dahlhart,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Jean,
Here.
John,
Here.
Kaya. Did I say it right? Yeah, I always doubt myself. Nasreen?
Here.
Cool. You guys might also notice that Anthony's not here. He actually resigned from SGA. We wish him all the best. And as you saw on the agenda, we have new junior class president nominations on here. And let me edit one more thing off of here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So executive board and executive branch report, starting off with the executive president. Take it away.
Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm excited for a great semester with you guys. Just some quick announcements. I know we were talking last semester about having town halls, so we've decided on 3. One with OIE and student conduct, one with the other one I don't remember. Okay, well that is the first one, but one with the private police force, and then the last one is still kind of up for debate, or like we're discussing what other topics would be interesting to have a town hall for. So if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And if you guys are interested in spearheading any of these, let me know, because we're gonna have plenty of people to be working on these things with. Other than that, I'll pass it back to Brianna.
Alrighty. Hello everyone. I'm also excited for a good spring semester here. We're going to be having the retreat on February 5th. We've encountered some issues with the university changing guidelines, and I also got ghosted by one of our speakers, unfortunately. So I am rushing to try to get that figured out. But for the most part, everything's sorted. Look forward to that. Clear your calendars. We will be ending a little bit earlier than expected Saturday. Instead of going to the escape room thingamajigger at like 7 or 8, we're going to be going at 5. So it should give you a few more hours that afternoon. In addition to the retreat, I already talked about the rules bill on here. Oh, we're going to be having a social event sometime later this semester. If you guys have any ideas for that, I've had board game floated, etc., etc. It will probably be at someone's house, probably mine, and I'm very willing to host everyone there. In addition, again, just read everything on the agenda here, and just a reminder for this semester that we are doing attendance and all of that just as strict as normal. And you should read things before they come here. And there was something else I had to say, and I forgot what it was, so that is a-okay. Oh, student involvement fair is coming up as well, so just keep an eye out for that. Alrighty, so executive treasurer, take it away. Oh, go, all yours.
Hello. So just a meeting over intersection with staff excitement. We've had too many meetings to count. But we're almost done with budgets. We have probably about 18 left. So we should be able to see the groups that we have finished should be able to see their budgets currently in the Caucuses. And we will be getting the rest of them done by the end of this week.
Beautiful. Alrighty, and executive secretary, take it away.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty busy. I wrote the work bill amendment and the disability caucus bill that are being presented today. And I've also been working with Carolyn on a kind of SGA guidebook that should just be an intro to SGA and how to be a good senator. And that should help with this semester and with the next year's administration. And besides that, since it's the beginning of the semester, just remember to register all your events and hop-in groups and to do the minute and budget.
Alrighty, so we're gonna go, oh, we don't have anyone for LHACs because that's the new thing I have to send out the email again this semester for. So moving past that, class council reports, starting off with senior class council.
That's me. Hi y'all. As of like 20 minutes ago, we finalized our spring semester event schedule, which we're really hyped for. Senior week's fun. Otherwise, nothing much more to add, just excited for a final semester with you all wonderful people.
So sad. Alrighty, juniors. Yeah,
Okay.
you're Anthony's representative for now, and then once we confirm, you're good. Also, Kelly was elected the new president. Surprise! You'll see it. We have to do the actual confirmation, but I'm just gonna have you present on behalf of junior class council.
Okay, yeah, we just need to set up weekly meetings to get started on things, so if people could stay after the meeting today, so we can talk, that'd be great.
Beautiful. Moving on to sophomores.
Oh, that's me. Hi. So we are setting up a weekly meeting also to start the April semester. Something we've been doing kind of as a side project, we've been going through the archives, SJ archives at the library, finding some fun and hopefully contemporary ideal activities for the semester.
I'm a fan of that Hell Day one. I think you should bring it back. Alrighty, freshmen.
Happy second day of classes, everybody. We are, for our council, we're looking to try to do a February 22nd event. And we're kind of getting our things together for the bigger other events. It's very nice that we have more time this semester. Last semester, yeah, pretty good there.
Cool, sounds good. Alrighty, so we're gonna move on to committee reports. So academic affairs. Somebody want to speak for academic affairs? I don't think he's here.
We haven't met yet this week. We're gonna change our meeting time from Sunday to preferably sometime during the week, so we're setting that up. And then it's meet starting here.
Beautiful. We're gonna move on to civic engagement.
So there was a meeting with WIT. I wasn't able to make it, but Talia did. But they talked about how Hopkinsville is starting up, and there's some things that we should work on with that. Election day as a holiday, we met a couple times with Dean Wilson before the break. Hopefully we'll start that again too. And that's most of it.
Finance. Oh, somebody from finance. I don't think Obi's here.
It's just ditto what I said.
Exactly what Karen said. Alrighty, moving on to health, safety, and sustainability.
Yeah, we're setting up our weekly meeting and that's well.
Alrighty. Internal affairs.
We've been going through the rules bill, and we also have decided to amend the bylaws to remove the golden, what was it called? The seal. We're changing the seal, so we're amending the bylaw for that.
Nice. Thank you for that. Student organizations.
Yeah,
Nice. Nice.
sorry, is that like?
It's the second day of classes and we're already here.
Say too much. We've got a lot of organizations to review soon, so I'm going to send a message right now. Boom. With a when to meet for our spring look at that. Oh my gosh.
I
how
saw it pop
perfect.
up.
With to set up spring meetings, so we can really make sure that all our prospective organizations and our re-registered organizations have things done as soon as possible, especially because SIF Fair, I guess just SIF, is coming up in a few weeks and is still going to be in person. So we want to make sure that organizations have the opportunity to participate in that.
Alrighty, and then student services vice chair, take it away, Peter.
Yeah, so I think at the current moment, what I'm gonna do tonight is send out a when to meet link to determine our weekly meetings for the semester, and we'll progress from there.
Alrighty, sounds good. So now we can move on to caucus reports, WGMC.
So right before break, WGMC met with student conduct and OIE. So this semester we're starting off by addressing the points in the meeting and kind of formulating, like assigning roles on who's going to work on what project.
Beautiful. Alrighty, and then we're gonna go ahead and do, if somebody want to present for the Black Caucus, or you can skip today because I don't know if they've met.
Haven't met yet.
Okay, I didn't think they had met. Okay, so moving on to the advisor report, Carolyn.
I have a few things. Welcome back. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to see you. So the multiple people have said that, but I'll give more details. So student involvement fair is Friday, February 4th. It's from 2 to 6 p.m. So that's an extension from the initial announcement. So because of all of what's going on, we have extended the number of hours of engagement. And then if you plan to participate, so just show up and walk around and see things, you have to sign up or register for a shift. There are 50-minute time blocks, and they start at the top of each hour. You have to sign up for one of those shifts to come into the space, and then you'll leave at the 50-minute mark by the latest, so that we can welcome the new wave of people on the next hour. We'll be in the new rec center. It's a beautiful space if you haven't been in there since they've made the updates. And then additionally, we're using the online virtual fair component in conjunction with what's happening in person. So student organizations should create a virtual booth in Hopkins groups, and that is to sort of supplement what's gonna happen in person. So someone who wants to plan their time while they're at the student involvement fair can look on the virtual fair platform ahead of time, figure out who's going to actually be present, and then go on February 4th to meet them. So make sure that SGA has a virtual booth built, and that you're registered. I know that, I don't know if Kobe said this, but it sounds like seniors specifically have talked about their planning for spring semester. This is your big traditions time, so your council should be talking about your traditions events. So setting dates, making plans, and spending the money. So I know students are super eager to be back in person. We can still do things in person and be cautious and prepared. So let's make a plan to make sure this all goes off really well. Leadership Weekend is a program that I'm planning through the LEAD office. It's a really great opportunity for students to engage in the leadership development process. It's a 2-day event, so it's a Friday evening and an all-day Saturday. If you are, especially my upperclassmen in here, if you're interested in being like we're calling them peer, like educators or peer leaders. If you're interested in helping to facilitate as part of that program, I strongly encourage you apply. We need some more folks. It could be a really exciting time. And then the last major thing is that all events and meetings for SGA should be submitted through Hopkins groups. Please, please, please remember to do that. The minimum is 15 business days to make sure you can reserve space. If you're hosting virtual meetings, you can do it in a little bit less time, but just make sure it gets into the system so that people know that the meetings and the events are actually happening. I'm excited for a good semester, y'all. We're gonna have some fun.
Wonderful, alrighty. So I believe that means we can move on to new business already. So we have the junior class president confirmation. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the drive. So as you guys know, Anthony left. I'm gonna talk really briefly about the process for getting the new president, and then I will have the junior class council talk about how they're going to get a new person. I have to pull up on here so Talia can see it. I forgot. What's it called? One second. We're pulling up the oath so everyone can see it. Forgot to link it. Computer's taking a hot second. So basically, Anthony let us know that he was resigning. We went and not too long ago had a meeting with, I believe, the majority of junior class council. There was like 1 or 2 people who couldn't make it. And everybody who wanted to, do it got nominated. They nominated themselves or they were nominated by other people. And then they each were able to make about a 3-minute speech as to why they should be the president. Then we did secret ballot elections over Zoom, so they just private messaged me their vote. And that was the extent of what happened. So that's not how I say words. So that's how that went. We are currently looking for a new member for junior class council, and we're looking to transition over student services as well. So Talia, you can just say this one here and Mehek will lead you.
Okay, Talia, so you just stand up and then you do that. So just repeat after me. I,
Talia,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the Class of Juniors,
the office of the President of the Class of Juniors,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the JHU Student Government Association.
the Constitution of the JHU Student Government Association.
Yeah, that's it.
Congratulations! Yay! Beautiful. So Talia, if you want to talk really briefly about some of your plans for the semester, feel free. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So I was thinking something we talked about last semester was doing like coffee and hot chocolate type of giveaways during winter months, so I'm hoping to write a bill for that in the next week. And then, I'm interested in partnering with Block, to kind of raise like student morale a little, so have like incentives for students to come to, games. And then I'm hoping to do what juniors have done in past years, which is like the boat cruise, and figure out how we could get that back on track, or possibly do a formal replacement of that.
Beautiful, sounds good. Alrighty, if there's no objections, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the Appetito Caucus confirmation. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna straight up pass that over to Kobe. So Kobe, if you wanna let us know a little bit of background and all of that.
Yeah, so this was started last year by Ananya, I believe, who started the Appetito Caucus bill, and we just haven't had the chance to fully start it. So hopefully now with this new semester and with the establishment of chairs and vice chairs, we can get started.
So the reason there's not a bill attached to this one is because this was a bill that was written in previous years. We just haven't had a chance to elect anyone for this. So Appetito was present but inactive, and now they're about to be active. So who is your nomination for chair? Do you have a nomination for chair?
Can I nominate Kobe for chair?
You can also nominate yourself, Kobe, to clarify. Okay, alrighty, so all in favor of Kobe, oh, we have to move into voting, wow, I just straight up forgot how SGA works. Can I get a motion for something?
Motion to nominate Kobe for chair.
There we go. Alrighty, now we have to go to voting procedure. So can I get a motion for that? Beautiful.
Motion to move into voting procedure.
Yeah, point of order.
Go ahead.
So the motion, there needs to be a second and then the vote, not a, you skip.
Oh, I saw,
Someone seconded.
yeah, somebody seconded. I saw a placard go
Oh,
up.
I didn't hear an acknowledgement.
Oh, sorry. I acknowledge you. That's why I moved on. I'm sorry. I'm not glossing over you.
God,
Okay.
seriously,
Anyways,
Lord.
I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, we're now in voting procedure. So everyone in favor of Kobe becoming the chair of the Appetito Caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Any abstentions? Alrighty. Congratulations. You are the chair.
So point of order again, so the motion was for a nomination, not for a vote?
We don't have, for caucuses, it's kind of an unusual precedent because sometimes they're chair, sometimes they're vice chair, and since this one already existed, normally what we did for the Black Caucus, I think, is we passed the bill, and then a few weeks later, whoever was in charge of it, who I think was Talal, came back to us with a nomination. They just had already talked to people about it, and they already had people who were interested in the caucus, and he was just like, this is the nomination for it, and then we just voted to confirm their nomination.
Mhm.
So that's what that was. Confirming the nomination that they had already discussed. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
Yeah, overwhelmingly, this feels like there's a huge step missing. Can we put, does anyone have the bylaws up?
I'm just looking.
So I'm not sure how it's written, but for a point of order, just in general, when you nominate someone for something, they have to accept the nomination, then there's usually some like component. So is there a committee for this, or is it just right now the?
When we did this last time with the Black Caucus, Calvin came, and what we did is basically what Brianna just explained, like someone nominates them, they accept or they can reject it, then they have the option to give a speech or say something, if there's like more than one candidate running, and then you just move into confirmation, like someone will say you can move into a confirmation vote. So since there was no one running against him or opposed, or no one else was nominated, there's no need for any of the other things.
And I believe they'd already talked about who was going to be chair ahead of this meeting as well. But we can clarify if necessary.
So, I mean, point of order, that sounds pretty much right from what's written.
For what's written?
Yeah.
So if there's only one candidate, the candidate has the opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes. Then Senate moves directly into voting procedure. After that, majority of the vote obtains the position you're running for. Only thing is there is technically supposed to be both the chair and a vice chair.
Okay, I was going to do vice chair right after this.
Okay, so a missing piece here, it sounds like gotta give Kobe an opportunity to say.
Kobe, would you like to?
Yes.
And
Go ahead, take it away.
Do I talk for 5 minutes?
Up
Thank
to
you
5
for
minutes.
this opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is vice chair happening today too, or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Would anyone like to motion to nominate a vice chair?
Motion to nominate Sophie for vice chair.
Second this.
Thank you. Then I believe, Sophie, would you like to accept this nomination?
Yes.
Would you like to talk for 5 minutes?
I can talk for like 5 seconds.
Go for it.
Okay, yeah, thank you for nominating me. Yeah.
Nice. I know you guys already figured this out ahead of time. Alrighty, then I believe we do motion to move into voting procedure. Anyone?
Motion to move into voting procedure.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving into voting procedure?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are now in voting procedure. All in favor of Sophie being the vice chair of the Appetito Caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Congratulations. Yay, everyone. Alrighty, so now that we've gotten all of the confirmations out of the way, so from this point forward, the Appetito Caucus will be underneath the caucus reports, and they will be following all of the rules that caucuses have to follow. If anybody's interested, I believe they can just talk to Kobe or Sophie about it. And we can move on to the next thing, which is the rules bill. Give me 1 second to get that up. So, everybody, Elena and I are both presenting this. I'm going to give a brief overview, and then any questions can be directed to Elena. The part that has been changed is the part in highlighted yellow down here. I'm going to widescreen it, it's a little bit easier to see. The part that is in yellow down here, it is a new section that we have added. There we go. Here we go. And I had a meeting earlier today, that's why there's all these suggestions on here that we can vote to friendly amend on here or have discussions about. So basically, it's introducing new accountability measures outside of absences, because absences don't really cover the full scope of duties in SGA. You're not just supposed to show up, you're also supposed to do things. And it felt we were giving people absences for like, oh, you didn't submit your meeting minutes, here's an absence. That just didn't really make sense to us. It's just to, give us more structure. It's something a lot of other universities have in place as well. So hopefully everyone's read it. Some of the changes that IA mentioned, I believe, was having this under IA, obviously, instead of just the vice president and secretary, and the vice president will oversee it. So that would be me, and then Juwon's chair of IA. So we would be taking care of this. Anyone can make a report. Just in general, these are some of the things that people can be reported for. So for example, if Elena was to go into like 3 weeks after a class council meeting to go into the class council meeting thing, and they saw that there wasn't minutes, the class council would get a report against them, whoever's responsible for it within the class council, usually the president, unless there's someone else assigned. So for example, that's one way you can get a disciplinary mark. One important section here is I can't remember where we put it. After due investigation, the IA will give disciplinary marks rating from 1 to 3, depending on the severity of the case. Because sometimes not doing like dereliction of duty is just something like, oh man, I forgot to upload meeting minutes, etc. And sometimes it's worse, like misusing SGA resources, not like the level of embezzlement, but obviously something like that. It's going to be a little bit more severe and have a little bit more impact. I believe it's going to be either 5 or 10. We had suggestions on this, so that's something we can discuss with everyone. And then per year, it will be 20 as per the comment by Elena on the side. And if you are on medical leave, family leave, or are in an outstanding situation, you're not going to be getting disciplinary marks. You're excused from SGA. Just make sure you, comment on it. And then also monthly/weekly, depending on if we accept this amendment or not, you're supposed to be filling out the work log. That's an SGA duty anyways. Everyone at SGA should be filling out the work log. This is just an accountability measure to make sure everybody does it. Because I know it's easy to forget because I've forgotten it plenty. So yeah, there's a form here. You don't actually have to go in. Elena made it quite nice and easy. Everything's pretty simple here. I think that's everything that's changed. Brief note, in the very beginning of the year when we originally wrote the rules bill, we hid a secret phrase in the rules bill, and if you told us the secret phrase, then you would get a prize, and it was the first 2 people. And today, Nathan and Ireland were the 2 people who found it in the rules bill. So they will be getting some sort of a prize. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we added that a while ago, I think. So
Is that in the OG?
I think it was in our first draft. I'm not positive, but I think this is from last semester as well. We just really need to read the rules bill. Okay, so that ends my presentation. We can now motion for a moderated caucus, motion for Q&A, tabling, whatever.
Let's go with moderated caucus, 5 minutes. 5 minutes?
We can
5
always.
minutes, 1 minute speaking time.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Are you raising your hand for something?
No, I'm
Oh, I wasn't sure, okay. Alrighty, we're now in 5-minute moderated caucus with, 1-minute speaking times. I'm gonna pull up the speakers list on my phone really quick. So, G1, you can go ahead.
First of all, I just want to explain a couple of the changes we made. One, we, for the workload form, we decided that a lot of the things we do is long term. So doing it weekly doesn't seem to make sense because a lot of things range from months and stuff. So we just changed the month on that note. So, and then we changed the disciplinary marks from 10 to 5 because a lot of the disciplinary marks were supposedly coming from the work log and the accountability measures. So that's been reduced to 5. And also I added a part where it was disciplinary marks are calculated per academic semester, so it will not be the whole year thing. So if somebody is striking out already, then it should be already dealt with within the semester, not waiting to the semester till the spring to be dealt with. Since a lot of its committee chairs or the people with more than 2 committees have more chance to receive these marks, they are given the 2 additional disciplinary marks. Yes, and that's it.
Alrighty, we have Jackson next.
This is more of a question for the writers, but how will internal affairs deal with members that are on internal affairs?
They will be removed from the discussion.
Yeah,
Got it.
so just like abstaining due to
Should
conflict of
that be
interest.
written in the bill?
Yes, we can add that in the bill. Usually when that kind of thing happens, it's just implied, but it's good to have it written out. Would you like to motion to friendly amend? Well, I think we have to end, we have to finish our moderated caucus and then
Go.
move into new motions, but keep that in your head. Sorry. Alright, I can have 3 more speakers? Anybody else?
Motion to end.
Oh, we have a Harvey.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just my vague, slightly migrating interpretation of sub-point 2 under part D. Any SGA member may report disciplinary infractions to the executive vice president or internal affairs. We'll keep a record. The executive vice president has the right to ask for verification. If I understand that correctly, that means that you can get a disciplinary mark without any verification or evidence actually being presented, just a report. That seems a little bit like it's kind of backwards logistically. Am I understanding that correctly?
I think, because we just switched it over from vice president to chair of internal affairs, so I think it's supposed, we do need to clarify this, good point. I think it's supposed to be more like somebody submits a report and then IA does the investigation, because the part up here where it's like after an investigation of IA, after due investigation, the IA will assign disciplinary marks. That implies that they are investigating it and not just taking the report at face value. I think the vice president is kind of just checks and balances, so if IA or something happens and the disciplinary mark is disputed of some sort, we can go ahead, yeah, we're adding that. So we can go ahead and dismiss any unreasonable disciplinary mark. It's kind of giving us a way to go back and like, if somebody disputes a disciplinary mark and new evidence comes to light, it's a way to take it away, I think, but we should clarify that. So save that for a friendly amendment if you have any ideas. If not, I can come up with one. Okay. We can have 2 more speakers, I believe. Anybody else? Are you raising your hand?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, so just from the changes that were made, I agree with Harvey that it's no longer clear like how exactly the process happens, and it is written the way D sub-point 2 is written is basically like it's at the discretion of internal affairs how it's verified. I also, just because now it's going to internal affairs, I feel like there needs to be a section on what exactly that process is. Like, is it a majority vote to accrue marks? Like, what if internal affairs disagrees on the number of marks that it's going to be? Like, it just says internal affairs will give disciplinary marks, and that seems to me like fairly vague guidance. And just even for the internal affairs people, I feel like giving a little bit more specificity to how exactly this thing's supposed to go down would be helpful.
That sounds good. When we go to friendly amendments, if you have a suggestion for how that works. Again, this is open to a lot of interpretation. This is a new system we're putting in, and we are willing to change as necessary. Yeah, okay. So we will make that more specific. While we're still in the caucus, I can have one more speaker, or we can motion to end. That wasn't me. Go ahead.
This is me kind of airing something that I would add as God, I'm losing words now. As a friendly amendment, I'm saying it out loud because my brain's only kind of half with me right now. the bit where it says consequences after due investigation, the internal affairs will give disciplinary marks, assumes guilt, not innocence. That's not how this works, if I'm reading that right. And I think that it should, there should be the option, not the immediate assumption that one is the lowest. Like, it says will give disciplinary marks ranging from 1 to 4.
So you're saying we should have an option for 0, saying that they
An
won't?
option for 0?
Or
Okay.
you can say may give.
Yeah, or may give, just
May.
because, yeah, it may give disciplinary marks.
Okay.
Just because it forces, if you take that literally, it forces any report into automatic error.
Okay. All right, that looks good. I agree with those edits. Okay, we're still technically under 5 minutes, so we're gonna do. Karen and Nathan both put their hand down as soon as I looked up. Karen, go ahead.
I don't see it, maybe I'm blind. There's like no standardization of like what offense gets what amount of marks. It just says like 1 to 3, right? 1 to 2. So like how do you determine like, is it just arbitrary or is there going to be some like
So that's why Internal Affairs is going to be looking at it, because we can't cover every single possible report. That's why in this section of possible reports it says like including or but not limited to. We wanted to leave it open to reports that don't fit underneath that category, and we didn't exactly know how to draft a standard. So it was more referring the report to Internal Affairs, and then Internal Affairs amongst themselves decides the severity of the incident. There isn't a standard at this point. If you guys feel like we should have a standard and then find a way to incorporate things that fall outside that standard, very willing to do that. We just weren't sure how to when writing the bill. Also, Elena, if you have any points to add to this as the bill writer, please feel free. Okay. We have like a minute left, so we can take another speaker or a motion to end, or
Motion to end the moderated caucus.
can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, moderated caucus is ended. We're gonna go Nathan first.
Can we motion for like an 8-minute recess just to workshop some of the language here a little bit, so we're not getting super in the weeds, and then come back and talk about it, like or vote or whatever we want.
Can I have a second on the recess? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, we're now in an 8-minute recess. Please come back at 7:48 p.m. If you have suggestions for how to change the wording, please come talk to me. Otherwise, bathroom break, do whatever you need. You guys can come up here.
I was gonna say, well,
We are out of our recess. We're still, on this agenda item. So, going through, we basically accepted all of the comments that have been made on there. So, work log is now going to be a monthly thing. The work log form, instead of being what did you do Saturday, what did you do Sunday, it's going to be what did you do week 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the month. And that should be better. If we have any issues with that, we can always edit the form. No big deal there. We changed it to 5 disciplinary marks. We added in how IA is going to standardize it. So basically we're going to keep a record of our votes, and we also put in how IA will be voting on this. So keep a record of our votes. That way if 2 people complete the same infraction, they'll get the same number of vote points, and we can make sure there's no bias there. We got rid of conflicts of interest. So if you are in IA and you have a report against you, then you'll be removed from it. You will not be involved in that whatsoever. And yeah, so we just basically took in all the edits that anyone had. So does anyone have a motion for any other friendly amendments, or motion to vote, or motion to table?
Motion to vote.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving into voting procedure?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing the rules bill amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Cool. So this is now in effect as of next Tuesday. So we'll send an email just like as a reminder, catch up thing with everything on here. Wonderful. That looks good. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the Disability Caucus bill. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. We got a lot of caucuses today. Alrighty. So we have this here. So this is similar to every other caucus bill that we've ever made to establish a caucus. We have all the terms here. I hope everyone's already read this. I'm not the one who wrote this, so I'm not going to go over this. But Elena, you can take it away.
Yeah, so I think we all know that we need a caucus on disability at this point, but there's some actual objective reasons that we do. We have over 600 students registered with SDS, which, given we have a population of over 5,000 students, is pretty significant. And the disability inclusion dashboard from 2021 was researched by John Caucus, and we only scored 65 out of 100 points, which is not great, and we need to be working on improving it. And in 2021, there were 7 articles published by the J2 newsletter that were discussing problems with accessibility, and this reflects how many students are impacted by these issues. And in 2018, there was a resolution passed by SGA that was endorsing the demands of the ADA. It was basically a whole list of demands in many different genres, and some of the demands were met, which is great, but there are still many that have not been met. And since we passed that resolution, it's our responsibility to work with administrators and follow through on it. And since legislation and initiatives centered around disability are related to many different committees, we figured it would be easier to have one central caucus that could work on all of these initiatives and reach out to specific committees as necessary. And we'd also like to credit the ADA, the Advocates for Disability Awareness, which is a club on Hopkins campus, because they've been working very hard and they are in close contact with SDS, getting accessibility services better at the school, and we just want to expand that. And we also believe, as stated in the 2018 resolution, that disability is an important part of diversity, and the inaccessibility of our community threatens the well-being and achievement of disabled students at Hopkins. So just to follow the rules of bylaws, we have at least 10 members who are interested, which includes 7 members of SPA, and at least 6 partner organizations, which we only need 3. And so the purposes of the caucus are to make campus and SPA more accessible and ask for safe space for concerns of disabled students. So it can be a simple point of contact instead of trying to figure out which committee to contact. It can represent disabled students to all of administration, not just SDS. It can review and discuss disability-related legislation. It can inform the Senate on how initiatives may impact disabled students. It can ensure that Senate procedures are accessible. It can curate and disseminate information that benefits disabled students, probably in collaboration with the CMC and other clubs. And it can provide general support for disabled students. So that was all basically just why we need the caucus and what the caucus will do.
Beautiful.
So rules of the caucus. This is a little bit different than what the other caucuses have. Membership is open to all undergraduates, but we have stipulations on non-Senate members, so they can't vote, communicate on behalf of the caucus, or write legislation. And that's because it's going to be a primarily policy-based caucus, so we're going to be working on a lot of legislation. And they can still be represented through meetings and meeting minutes, and of course, the votes of the Senate members should reflect the voices of everybody in the caucus. And the basics are just all eligible students who contribute to the discussions of the caucus and who register as a member on the J2 caucus group will be considered members. They can join at any point of the year, and the roster will be kept on the SGA contact list just like every other caucus. And the responsibilities: Senate members will be responsible for writing and sponsoring legislation, liaising with SGA committees, endorsing legislation, and acting as a voice for the caucus of SGA, and all members of the caucus will be providing feedback, contributing to discussions surrounding endorsing legislation, bringing new ideas, and attending general body meetings. And another part that's a little bit different than other caucuses, the leadership. We will follow all guidelines set forth by bylaws, except that any chair or vice chair position has to be approved in a general body meeting by a majority vote of the caucus. And multiple candidates may be approved, so if multiple candidates are approved, they can all be nominated. But any nominated candidate who has not been approved has to reject their nomination. And we also said that the chair or vice chair can be asked to resign on receipt of ensures a 2/3 of caucus membership. And if they refuse, then the caucus can solicit signatures from the SBA Senate for the removal as per the bylaws. And finally, meetings, we will meet once a month during the academic year at a minimum to discuss goals and action plans. We will make meetings open to the public, and we will make every reasonable effort to ensure that all meetings and records are accessible to disabled students. And any caucus member can request an invocation by contacting the caucus vice chair.
Alrighty, all good? Okay. So at this point, we can open it up for a moderated caucus, a Q&A, moving to voting procedure, tabling, anything like that. Any motions?
Motion to go into voting procedure.
Second.
All in favor of moving into voting procedure? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, we are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing the Disability Caucus Bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty. Caucus Bill has been passed. Congratulations. We have 2 new caucuses as of today. Nice. Alrighty. Prospective business, we're going to start off with advancing legislation. So does anybody have any advancing legislation? And then we'll do announcements. Go for it.
So next week, we're going to be passing a bill about our award system we're setting up for people dressing up for GBM. So after GBM is over, we're gonna have a vote for best dressed or most professionally dressed, and whoever wins that will get a small prize, and that is the advancing legislation for next week. So stick around for that.
Another point about the small prize is the 2 people who found the keyword will also have a small prize if I remember to bring it at GBM tomorrow. And honorable mention to anyone else who found it and either messaged me and I didn't see it until after the first 2, or any of that. Thank you for reading the rules, Bill. Any other advancing legislation? Jivon?
Question.
Yes.
So we can only vote for a really, really dressy to dressy?
Well, the goal is to be business casual, because we were going to add in the rules bill a clause to be business casual, because a lot of other universities have that. But we figured people might hate that, especially because it's cold outside and it's hard to be business casual and cold. I say wearing a dress and tights.
Wouldn't that bill need to be introduced to the Senate and then we'll vote on it, right? That the amendment will be voted by the Senate, right?
This is not an amendment.
This is an amendment. It's a separate little reward system. That way it's optional and
Oh,
we
so
don't.
optional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be optional because we didn't think anyone would want it to be mandatory, but that way, if you want to be business casual, you have a reason to. We can also do other little award things and give it away as superlatives later on. So, fun ideas there. Somebody else raised their hand. Bennett.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this since kind of like end of last year when I discovered that there was this problem. But I'm not sure whether you guys are aware of, but Johns Hopkins kind of like effectively bans anything that is related to cryptocurrencies from being Googled and searchable. Like, apparently there's this official like filter
Really pulls it up.
that like actually like bars you from being able to access any cryptocurrency trading website.
Yeah, I'm on my Coinbase right
Are you?
now.
Of course I'm on
Yeah.
Okay, guys, order. Trying to finish what you were talking about. Guys!
No, it
Tryna.
doesn't. This stuff can't be.
Continue what you were saying.
Alright, okay, I'll look more into it, but at least from my understanding that there was this restriction, and I was hoping to work on it.
It's Hopkins versus JHU GuestNet, I think, is the issue. If you're signed on to the Hopkins Wi-Fi, you probably can't, but if you're on GuestNet,
Interesting. Wait for public input. Sorry. Alrighty. So, anybody else have advancing legislation?
I think we talked about this the whole TGI with the German local vice provost engaged stuff. So we have a work group that's going to be working on it. We kind of pushed it this semester because it was kind of a last minute thing, but I think we're gonna write a resolution, right, with Kobe and everyone in the work group. Yeah.
All right.
So that's coming up.
Good. Anyone else have any other advancing legislation before we move to announcements?
This is maybe one. I don't know, John's, but people are asking me what SJ can do about jackhammering at 7
I got that
a.m.
text too.
Wait, what?
The Matin Center construction, people are really upset by how loud it is and how early it starts. So,
not us, right?
I'm pretty sure it's not. Carolyn's shaking her head, so I'm gonna say
I don't
no.
know, yeah.
But yeah, I also got messages about that. Cool. Get earplugs. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and move on to
That
announcements.
one actually is illegal.
Alrighty, I have some announcements that I will start with, and then if anybody else would like to be added to announcements, you can just raise your placard. So announcement number one, Happy Blue Jay Tuesday, because someone has to do it. And then announcement number two is, again, if you guys have any ideas for social events besides a board game night hosted at my house, please text it to me, do whatever you want there, and show up for Student Involvement Fair, because this is the first in-person one that we're going to be having in a while, and I hope to see you guys there at whatever booth I may be at. So I think that concludes, oh, and if anybody has any issues with classes or anything like that, or they need to take a medical leave of absence or anything like that for any reason this semester, let us know whenever you can. We understand circumstances can be hard, especially with the uptick in COVID cases. If anybody does test positive, just let us know. You are obviously not expected to come in. We can come up with a Zoom option for that, but just go off of the university guidelines and get tested as you should, and stay safe out there, friends. Any other announcements? No? No? Alrighty. Who's gonna say it? Oh wait, public input period. I totally almost fucked up that. I'm so sorry. Anyways.
Nothing. I was actually trying to like test Chinot's hypothesis, and I got like blocked from one cryptocurrency trading website, but the others I was not. So that was all I had.
JG's just against that one site. Any other public input from members of the public? No? Okay. And now we know what time it is. Do you guys want to stay here?
Motion to end the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Goodbye, guys.
What's Sophie's last name?
L-I-V.